Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paula's Soapbox Live. My guest today is a multi talented singer songwriter who fronts her own band. She's also a DJ at WWOZ 90.7 FM, New Orleans.
Yes.
She has a new single called Free. Please welcome to the show from the Cole Williams Band, the punk empress of African rock herself, Cole Williams.
Yes, I love the introduction.
Yeah.
Hey,
Did I
Paula.
get that right? Punk Empress of African rock?
Got it right. I love it. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a good.
So was that something that you made up or was that something kind of bestowed on you?
Okay, so I was one of my last performances in Brooklyn was at BAM, the Brooklyn Academy of Music.
Yeah.
And it was one of my biggest shows as a solo artist. And the publicist I was working with at the time, I said, I need like a title. Like, can you introduce me? And she was like, yeah, you're my Empress. And I was like, yeah, but I'm like the punk Empress. Like my music is African rock. And we just like put
Yeah.
it together and it became Punk Empress of African Rock ever since.
I love that. And you're the only one that I have heard of with that title. So
People always ask me what my genre is. And that's been like a trial for like most of my career, explaining what my genre is, because I'm not quite R&B and I'm not quite soul and I'm not quite hip hop or anything. I don't fit into this box, but African rock is the music that I just created just to express myself. And I thought, well, like I'm the leader of it, so I'm gonna call myself the Punk Empress. You know, I'm not the queen yet, but I'm the
yeah.
Empress.
Oh, give it time. Give it time. You're on your way.
I hope.
So tell me about your new single, Free.
Well, you know, that was the first song that I collaborated with Pierre Velo. So he's a French-based producer. And when I traveled to France years ago, we started working on this song. We started writing. He had a guitar, I had my computer, and we were just recording it. And it was interesting working with someone that we basically don't speak the same language. His English was as good as my French.
Yeah.
So music was like the melodies were the only things that like we can relate to. And, you know, I started writing the lyrics there in Paris. And we started working on the music there, but we didn't finish it until I was back home. And he finished the track and he sent it to me in Brooklyn when I was still living there. And it was such a release to be in France, to be in Europe. You know, that's one of my favorite places. There's just an appreciation for music there, an appreciation for art. I don't know, I guess they appreciate you more when you're not from an area, but I just always feel honored and that like the art is really respected more. So it was just really sacred for me to write this song about being free. And so I usually write by stream of consciousness. You know, I listen to the melody and just sort of like, what is the song? What is the music saying to me? And the music was just like dreamlike. And it was just like, you know, I just want to be free. Like my dream is my reality. I just want to combine them and just create my own reality. And so that's how I came about with the song.
Yeah. So music was introduced to you as something that was more or less just to make you a well-rounded person, not really a career option for you. Your parents actually didn't want you to make that a career option.
Not my mother, especially. Like she's gonna hate me for saying that. But you know, I'm first generation American. So my mom is Jamaican.
Yeah.
She's the first of her siblings to come to the States from Jamaica. So, you know, coming from a small country, coming from like a country, like the country in the country, like Spanish Town, you know, coming to the land of opportunity, it's like you become a doctor and you become a lawyer and, you know, you make money in like this really set way. You go to college and you finish college and you do all these things. And that just didn't feel right to me. You know, they gave me all these gifts and everybody in my family can sing or play an instrument. It's the craziest thing. I have one cousin that's a dancer. He's danced for Fela and danced for the Lion King, you know, and we both until maybe like 5, 6 years ago. But music was given to me to keep me off the streets so that I wouldn't just, you know, hang out with just anybody. So I did not hang out on the street. I was like in church. If I wasn't in church, I was practicing piano. If I wasn't practicing piano, I was doing my schoolwork or in the school choir. And then I was in school, I was in college studying psychology, and I was so bored. You know, I don't like to be confined and, you know, four walls. And my allergies bother me, like the filters. I'm just really particular. So one day I was just like staring out the window And I was like, I'm paying for this. Like, why am I here if I don't want to be here? And I
Yeah.
had a semester left and I just left. And I was seeing a manager at the time and having vocal lessons, but I just decided to just dive right in and just like become an active musician. And then I went back to school to get my degree in classical voice. And I wanted to go to school then. So like I really thrived and I learned so much but it was just incredible. Yeah. I don't know how I made it here.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a lot of artistic talent in your family.
Yeah.
So,
My grandmother, she sings tenor, like she barely sings a melody. So like
yeah.
if the family sings together, it's just like beautiful harmonies and people are playing piano and people can play the drums and everybody just feels the music in this really spiritual way. Like we're really
Yeah.
like blessed. Yeah.
And you mentioned that you had a church upbringing and you sang in church.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel like that particular upbringing has influenced your music career?
Well, that's funny that you mentioned that because I ran from the church as soon as I could leave. Like I
Yeah.
did not want any part of the church. Like I have tattoos and piercings, and if anybody knows about Seventh-day Adventists, that's the way I was raised.
Uh-huh.
It's strict. It's almost like the Black Jews. Like we follow the Sabbath. So I couldn't have any secular music in the house. But on Friday night to Saturday night, I couldn't
Oh, okay.
talk on the phone to my secular friends. Like it had to be all about church. Um,
Yeah.
Dietary laws. So like I had a super strict upbringing. So
I was
like
gonna say it sounds like you had a strict.
yeah, so I wanted to be free, like hence the song. And then
Yeah.
I just started dabbling in like hip hop and singing backgrounds for a West African artist and I went really far away, but moving to New Orleans a few years ago, I don't have any family here. And it's just amazing what happens when you have to just build your family and your friends, back again or just start from scratch. And it's
Yeah.
actually brought me closer to my spiritual side. So my residency on Saturday nights at the Marigny Brasserie, I call it African Rock Saturday, where we have church. So
Yeah.
what I do is I sing all my original songs, but then I infuse some gospel standards because I feel like church is wherever you are, like it's the people. So we'll sing, His Eyes on the Sparrow, and people will be dancing because it's to a beat, and it's like
Yeah.
they have a gin and tonic in their hand, they're doing shots, but we're like, leave your cares at the door. So
Yeah.
really just inspired me to be spiritual, not
Mm.
religious per se, but just to almost be like a living testimony.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you moved to New Orleans because you wanted to. Well, one of the reasons you moved was because you wanted to improve your percussionist
Yeah.
skills. So, what
Yeah.
did you think that New Orleans could offer you that maybe other places couldn't?
Oh my goodness. Have you not heard the music here? The beat?
I've never been there. I mean,
Oh, you
yeah,
okay, so you come and see me. But
yeah,
like the rhythm, like this is a port city, so they're just like a lot of mixing of cultures, there's like African rhythms here, but for me, this is the birthplace of American music. So
yeah,
there's like a Caribbean influence here. And I don't know, just being Jamaican American and, being brought up in America and just being exposed to so many rhythms, I just have a deep understanding of like how like the body should move and like what makes the body move. And the first time I heard the percussion, the way it was played in New Orleans, it's really different than the way it's played in other styles of music like Spanish music or sorry, Latin music or even African music. There's like this bounce to it, like think about bounce music and like it really does make the booty bounce. And but I just like the sounds of the percussion and just like that feel was something that I don't know, I just like my artistic side, I just loved it. I also wanted to get out of New York. I wanted to leave for a while. And I don't know, it just seemed like the right time. I just had to do it. Like it felt like if I didn't do it in 2015, like I would have missed my opportunity to move here.
right,
Um, so I did become a better percussionist. Like I brought my bongos down and just started sitting in with people and just playing. And I didn't know what I was playing, but just feeling the rhythm and just being engulfed in this culture. Like you can't help but become a better musician. So I become
yeah,
a better percussionist, a better singer, a better storyteller. Just so many highlights like from being here.
yeah.
It's inexplainable.
So, had you spent time in New Orleans before you decided to just make the move? And
A little bit. So I discovered it when I was on tour with an old
yeah,
Pimps a Joy time. and we did some Jazz Fest late night dates and some other stuff. And I really liked it. Like the energy was great. You know, like we went out one night and I remember hanging out until like 9 in the morning and running into the sound guy as he was walking his baby. And like he was fresh, and I was like, oh my God, I still have on last night's makeup. You know, it was just fun. So it has a
Yeah.
lot of energy. It felt like Brooklyn, like with the energy, but also just felt like a little more relaxed and a little more friendly, like that Caribbean way that I was raised. You know, you say hello to your neighbor, and you say hi to the old people, and you know, you really, you know, you take care, you know, people here. So I really like the community. So I visited a few times after and stayed by a friend of mine just to see, you know, is this real? Like, are people really nice to me because like they don't, you know, I'm me, or is it because like I'm in this band?
Yeah.
And they were real. They were cool. Like if you're cool with them, they're cool with you. And it was really like serendipitous. A friend of a friend was looking for a roommate, and then like I found a place to sublet. You know, so I was actually at a station for like a year. I didn't have to like move around and couch surf, which was really great for my stability, and I got to really understand the city. But that was, yeah, it's like I can't even believe it's only 3 years. It feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, you know, when I was reading up on your history and everything, and I was like, she only moved there in 2015. So, you know, you've really accomplished a lot in that amount of time.
Yeah, I feel like you know, I had a career before I moved down here, so that helped. Like I was already in the music business, not in the New Orleans business, but I was just in the business of making music.
Right.
And you know, I really was clear on what I wanted and who I am as an artist. And of course, you're always learning more every day, but I was just very clear and I was very focused. And I knew I moved here for music, for culture, and community.
Yeah.
Um, and those things I felt that I would receive. And so I just ended up in the right places at the right time. You know, like maybe it's God that put me there. But I just remember I would walk. So nobody walks in New York. You walk. You know,
Right.
so walker. So I would walk from like the Ninth Ward where I was staying to the French Quarter because I didn't have a car. But also I wanted to just to get to see, just to get to know the neighborhood. And just in walking, I would say hi to people. But you know, I introduced myself to people. I walked into businesses. You know, I introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm Cole. This is what I do. And, you know, some people were open, some people weren't. You know, some people were open later, you know, and I really got to understand what it is to be in a community. It was kind of like, okay, are you going to be here? You know, that there are a lot of people that come here and they don't stay here. But I really came here to be a part of this community and to
Yeah.
add to it. And so I think that once people got to know me a lot better, they began to realize it. So, you know, I'm on different scenes. I work in nonprofit with
Yeah.
like after school programming, and then I host the radio show. But I started off as a volunteer. You know, I was answering the phones during the pledge drive, and I would sub for like a 3 a.m. show, and you know, just figuring out the New Orleans scene that way. And so just doing those things where I wanted to add instead of just trying to take away. You know, trying to
Yeah.
take the city. I think that makes a difference. You know, and it's honest and it's true, and that's why I make music. So.
I love that you actively became involved in the community, and what better way to do that than to walk around. You do miss a lot of stuff if you're in a car. You know, you don't get to talk to people, you don't get to meet people if
Yeah.
you're just driving around. So I love that you did that, that you actually tried to make yourself a part of the community and get to know people in the community.
Yeah, I loved it. And I still see people. It's funny when I see people that I met in my early days, when I meet them now, and it's
Yeah.
like, wow, it's like definitely 10 years have passed, but it's just like, that's family. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, you gave me a chance. Like, you got to know me, you know, like I always remember that. Like, and that's really sacred.
Yeah, and I think that that had to make kind of the transition of the move easier for you because you actually sought people out to connect with. You know,
Yeah,
you could have stayed in this little bubble making your music, and, you know, I think it would have been a much harder adjustment had you done something like that.
I think so. Like this is a scene where there's music going on all day, every day. Like you walk outside, there's music. In the French Quarter, there's like live bands playing, and you know, you can go down Frenchman Street and you can sit in with any band. You know, and I would just ask people, "Can I sit in?" I was like, "Hey, I'm from Brooklyn. I just moved down here. I'm a singer. Can I sing something?" Sometimes they would say yes. Sometimes they would say no. But you know,
Yeah.
I just would hang out. I like to go and hear music. Like that's to me a beautiful thing is that I can actually support musicians here. So for example, like my friend Corey Henry, he plays at Bonds, and that was one of the first places that I hung out at in the Bywater. And I just went to go see him play. I'm singing on his last record, so I recorded that in Brooklyn. So I didn't really know him that well, but I knew like, okay, let me just go and see what's up. And it was just like a pleasure to go hang with him and hear him live, but then also be invited, to sit in because I sang on those songs that he was playing. So it was just like family was already there. I just had to sit them out. So this is like this really incredible thing that there are a lot of different scenes in New Orleans, but they're all really connected like family, and people really do look out for each other down here.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're in the right place.
It feels like it. Yeah, it feels like I've been here all my life. Like it feels like I was meant to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, you mentioned something about, playing piano, and you trained in classical piano from the ages of 4 to 17. And you began teaching piano at 15. I mean, most teenagers are not disciplined enough to take piano lessons at that age, much less teach piano. So how did you get into the teaching aspect of it?
My mom.
Your mom?
Well, I wanted a raise in my allowance. I don't know exactly how it was, but I know I wanted money. And she said, well, you can teach some children in the church, and you can like just make a little extra money. So I sort of like I just figured it out. So that was like that was one of the first times where I just had to figure it out. Like I had an idea or she had an idea, or I wanted something for free, and she said, no, you got to work for your money. And she said, well, here's an idea to do this, and then I said, well, I want the money. I'm going to figure it out. So I just thought about like the basic things that I learned when I was first starting and like what I could teach them. And then it's funny that stuff makes you a better musician. When you're teaching, you really have to think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so it made me love it a little bit more. But something, I didn't really love the piano until much later because I was really forced to do it. So I would hide under the table sometimes, like from my piano teacher. One time he left because he couldn't find me.
Oh.
And, because it like everybody was playing outside, and it's like that thing that you never appreciate certain things until you get older. But every week, once a week, I would have to leave like whatever I was doing really early to go home to take my piano lessons, or I could hang out during the week, but I had to like figure out how am I going to do my homework and practice because next time my teacher came, I needed to have gotten that song down or have it better, or if I have a recital or something to do at church. So like I've always had deadlines. And then like playing drums in church, like I actually played like in a marching band. So like I had all these like things happening that like made me disciplined. So I personally wasn't disciplined at that age.
Yeah.
The discipline was forced on me. Like if anybody knows Caribbean parents, like you got to be disciplined. Like they know what you're gonna do before you do it. In your minds, they're like, I'm punishing you. You're gonna do because you're about to do that. And you're like, what? I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
So I guess that was like my first introduction to being an entrepreneur and teaching. And then like I started teaching voice, and it kind of happened the same way that I was working with a company, and they said, well, we have some artists. Can you teach them voice? And I said, I don't know. They said, well, I think you can. And I said, all right, well, I can. So I knew some chords and some scales. And I just did it, and then I just got better at it. And I did that for a while, actually. I was a teaching artist for a long time.
Yeah, and you still love the teaching aspect of...
I love the teaching aspect, but in a more specific way. Like, I don't teach private lessons anymore because I don't have the time. I just realized at a certain point, it just takes like a big investment. Like, you're investing in your student. So they're going to mess up. And you're gonna have to talk them off the ledge and bring them back, and they're not gonna do what they need to do, but like you have to be invested. And I realized like my personal career and these other goals like took precedence over that. So I would never want to just take somebody's money and not give them like the best kind of lesson. So I actually got into after school programming, like teaching smaller groups of underserved children in New York and in New Orleans. And that actually was something that I really enjoyed because it was like less demanding, but also like you just get to know children, and then you don't even understand like the inspiration, like just the empowerment that you're giving those children. Like they're like, wow, you're an artist, and like you're coming to teach us this thing, and it's such a small thing to you, but it's this big thing to them that you're telling them you have other options in life. And you can do it, and I'm doing it, and you can do it too. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Well, it's kind of switching gears here. You've had some jingles featured in commercials for some pretty
Oh,
well-known brands, right?
did your homework.
I did my homework. Yes, of course.
Okay, so so this song was like the song of gold. It was like platinum song. That song, "Come On Y'all," it's a song by Somi Dahlstrom, and I'm
Yes.
singing on it. And it's first in a Suave Professionals ad, I think in 2000 and maybe 9 or 2007. And then it got picked up for CoverGirl, for the CoverGirl ad with Drew Barrymore. And then it just kept getting picked up, like remixed. And that commercial was airing for about 4 years.
Yeah.
And then a J.C. Penney commercial. And that was like my first introduction into like the jingle world. And I've recorded a lot of other stuff, but like that was my most successful run, where like sometimes I would hear it. I would like be at home and I'm like, oh my God, that's me. I'm like, oh, that's me. Or like I was on tour and hanging out in one of our bandmates' rooms, and we're talking, and then the TV's on, and I said, "That's my commercial," and they totally didn't believe me. I'm like, "No, listen, that's me." And they're like, "Oh, that is you."
Yeah.
So, um, it's like all that stuff like shapes me as a vocalist, because I started off as a writer. So I started off in the studio, and that's like really where I became most comfortable first. So like that studio session work is like really specific. Like you got to be quick. You got to know what they're asking for. They tell you 5 million things and they don't really say what they mean. And you got to just like, okay, so what do they really mean? And then you got to nail it. And
Yeah.
then hopefully it gets picked up. And then if it gets picked up, like hopefully you get called again for some more stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can work remotely too. Like you don't have to go to the studio. I can actually work at my home studio. And if I do a good job recording, like the tracks just have to be mixed.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to put you on the spot a little bit. I want you to kind of sing a little bit of that jingle because I think people will recognize it.
Oh, let me see. Ooh, la la. Sing ooh la 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 la. Come on, y'all. Ooh, la la. Sing ooh la 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 la. Come on, y'all.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I totally remember that jingle. I
Really?
looked it up and I found it on YouTube and I was like, I remember that. I remember that campaign.
I'm embarrassed.
That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's one of those that, it kind of would get stuck in your head and in a
Okay.
good way.
That's
So,
why you're getting picked up.
right, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jingle People.
Yeah. Let's see. You mentioned some of your other projects, some of your like storytelling and that sort of thing that you do. I
Yeah.
know that you are the director of education and outreach with the Community Works of Louisiana. So what exactly does that entail?
Oh my goodness. So that's my serious side. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm like really eclectic, and I like my nails and I like my jewelry, my tattoos, and my serious side is like my focus side, my very sacred side, where I believe in holistic living.
Yeah.
I believe that the more you give is like the more you receive. Like that's part of my church upbringing, but we're all in this together. Just like 1 degree of separation, and part of that work is like the community of New Orleans has done so much for me. I feel so empowered by them that I see a lot of need. So I started teaching. Started off as an after school teacher with Community Works. And then I became a site director, just leading one site. And then an opportunity happened for me to become the director of education and outreach, which means that I am the facilitator for partnerships. So we partner with a lot of outside organizations. So for example, Books to Kids is one partnership that we have that donates books to our site. So making sure our kids receive books, receiving musical instruments. I sort of like seek these things out. I like hear things, like I hear people talking to me and I listen to everything and I'm making notes and I'm thinking, okay, we have a need for that and I can do that. And then also just like putting together the right teams. So I run about, I guess 17 different sites in New Orleans. So like they're all staffed, so I have to make sure that they're fully staffed, and then staffed with the right teams, and then staffed with the enrichment activities that the children like. So like we offer chess and African drumming and dance and all these things that those children don't get in their academic day. Like there's no arts programs really in these schools. Like a lot of New Orleans schools are run by charter schools. So what we do with Community Works is really important because we're actually serving as an after school program and not aftercare. So parents need some place to keep their children while they're at work. But instead of just being this like babysitting service, we're actually bringing in teaching artists that are like in their fields like me, and saying like, okay, as a teaching artist, it might be a little unstable in your craft, but you want some stability, and like we can work together. So it's like we're partnering with the teachers, and we're partnering with the families, and we're partnering with the schools, and partnering with the children. And so my job is just to make sure that everything is running properly, and that we have the right programs, and that we have the right personnel. And I'm like human resources too. Things happen, and I have to handle some business, and actually I really like it. It's kind of funny, but my desk is right by the window. Like I said, if I have to sit in an office, like I need a window. And it's really, I have a great team. It's like really low stress, and I feel like I can still be myself. Like there's room for me to work on my own stuff. Like nothing interferes. I feel like it's all tied in. And then I actually employ people that I know on the music scene. So it's just it's crazy.
It's all connected.
It's totally connected. But that's what I've always wanted, to be honest. I've always just wanted a well-rounded life where like all the things that I love to do meet somewhere, like have a point. And so like my purpose is like to empower people. Because I know how it feels to need empowerment, and I know how it feels to like have that one person or have those people or have that group that makes me feel empowered. So that's just something that matters to me, and it just sort of happened. I guess it didn't have just sort of happen, but it happened, and I love it. I've been with the organization now for 3 years.
So what is That's My Worldwide?
Okay, you're making me sound real Jamaican. We have 20 jobs. So That's My Worldwide is my record label and my management company. So I started it, but I've also been able to like hire a couple of other people to help me run it and help me manage it. But as an independent artist, I didn't want to sign away all my rights, but I also wanted the benefits of having an LLC. There's a lot of work that I do, and you get taxed out the ass as an independent artist. So I also wanted it to just pave the way for me working with other artists, for me to be able to sign other acts to my label. But right now it serves as like, it has put out all my albums, serves as like management or co-management, serves as a lot of things, but that's just my organization. I don't know, we'll see where it goes. It's in the growing phase right now, but right now it's like record label and like management.
Well, speaking of a lot of jobs, we mentioned your jewelry making off air.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on the spot too.
So are you still doing the Candy by Cole?
Yes, so this is Candy by Cole.
Lovely, love it.
And actually I do waist beads. You wanna see?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have waist beads.
Oh, cool.
I do necklaces too. I started making it when I realized that music was a job. Like I had to get up and be on a bus at a certain time, and it's not fun sometimes, and being in the back of a van or just having to travel all the time. And I just needed another artistic outlet, like so I just picked up the jewelry. Also, my waist beads broke. So I have a song called Bowl in a Pot and a Pan on Top of a Plate. It's a real story. It's about an old roommate. And that was like the last thing that she left in my fridge. Like a bowl of food on top of a pot, on top of a pan, on a plate. This is my assumption. So when I left on tour, I said, make sure that you wash the dishes. Don't leave dishes in the sink because, I don't want any vermin, any roaches coming into the apartment. And so I'm thinking that in her mind, she said, well, if I put the dishes in the fridge, then the roaches can't get to them. So, I mean, it was this like garbage piles high, like avocado with mold on it, like people people in my house. I don't even know. My soul brother, I had to send people over to like change the locks. So Anyway, long story longer. She made me waist beads. So I love these waist beads. So she made me some waist beads. And the day I went on tour, those waist beads broke. And I was like, I knew it was an omen. I said, oh, I don't even want to leave this house.
Yeah.
And like a week later, all that happened. So anyway, I said, I want waist beads. And I don't know where to get them. Or the ones I saw I didn't like, or they were too expensive. And I remember seeing her make them. And I thought, I can make these. So I just went to the jewelry supply store and I bought some supplies and I started trying it out. And then I just started making jewelry on the road. I would barter. Like I would just barter for things. Like I would say, you want some jewelry? And like I would get like some stuff on the side, or like I would like somebody and I would say, if you have a good conversation, and like I use West African beads and precious stones. So like I would feel people and I would say, you should take this bracelet, and then like they would trade it and it just became my signature and my thing. So it's like, this is like an act of love.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
So that's how I made out of necessity and out of like a nasty roommate. So listen to the song too, Bowl in a Pot in a Pan on Top of a Plate.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen to that.
I'm gonna send it to you.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned like love. It reminded me of the fact that you don't make New Year's resolutions. You make themes for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And this year's theme is love.
Mm-hmm.
So where did that come from?
We all need love. And even when we feel like we don't have love or we don't need it, that's when we need it more. Like, I think that's the foundation for a lot of things. I think love breeds compassion, breeds understanding, it breeds so many things. Like for me as a band leader, as like the lead singer of my band, like I need a lot of love. When people don't show up on time, I have to love them. I may not like them at the time, but I gotta love them. You gotta love who you're playing with. That's something that I've had to learn to do. Working, a nonprofit, like you have to love your staff and you have to love your children, because everyone is different. So everyone has a story. So if you don't write their story, but you treat them with love, I feel like it just opens the conversation up. It just allows for more freedom of expression. It allows you to get to know people truly instead of making assumptions and like holding things in. I feel like when you hold things in, that's cancer, and I don't want to get cancer. So I feel like the opposite of cancer is love.
Yeah.
So it's just like loving for me, it's like purging. And so it's like my theme is like love. And like for me, like love has brought about more trust, like trusting in myself and like trusting in other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's been a big thing.
Well, on that note, I think that you're going to sing something before we go.
Yeah. So I was trying to think about what I want to sing. And I think I'm going to do a gospel standard.
Okay.
I'm feeling really inspired. Like I feel like I'm a walking testimony. So it's a song I grew up with called Pass Me Not.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sing.
Okay.
Pass me not, oh gentle Savior. Why don't you hear my humble cry? Oh, while on earth is thou art calling. Oh, do not pass me by. Singing Savior, oh Savior, why don't you hear my humble cry? Oh, while on earth is thou art calling. Why do not pass me by? Do not pass me by. Do not pass me by.
Nice. Like I said, you are multi-talented.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Paula, and let me
Absolutely. So remind us where people can find your music.
Okay, so you can find my music on Spotify if you look for Cole Williams. You can also find it on my website, colewilliamsmusic.com. I'm also on SoundCloud. I'm also on iTunes. I'm also on YouTube. Just type Cole Williams, you're gonna find something, and then it's just like the maze. You just like connect the dots, and then you find all this stuff, and then you discover like the thing that is Cole. So I have 4 albums out right now, and I'm working on the 5th.
Wow.
And I'm excited.
You do stay busy.
I have to. Jamaican people, we have to stay busy or else we'll crumble like a raisin.
Speaking of that, your band, the Cole Williams Band, will be performing one of your residencies tomorrow night at the, hope I'm saying this right, the Marini Brasserie.
The Marini Brasserie. But the French would kill both of us.
Yeah.
Brasserie, yeah. So the Marini Brasserie, it's on 640 Frenchman Street. Yeah. And I'm there every Saturday night from 9 p.m. till midnight. And it's church on a Saturday night. That's where I just like let it go. I love it.
African Rock Saturday. And obviously more information about that can be found on your website at colewilliamsmusic.com.
Yes, and on the Facebook page too.
Okay. Well, Cole Williams, thank you so much for doing this. I'm glad that we finally got to do it.
Yes, I'm glad you feel better.
Yeah, you too. Yeah. Will you come back anytime?
Thank you. Okay, I'll see you very soon.
Absolutely. Keep us posted on everything you're doing. So
I will. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.